Welcome to my second video guide. In this video, I'm going to be looking over the tactical console. Just a very quick video to go over all the basics and where everything is. So you can see I'm in the tactical console. I've got it selected at the top, and there are three sub-consoles: weapons, weapon systems, and navigation page. This is the weapons page that we're looking at. So in the top right, you've got your usual readout of ship stats. Below that, you've got your shields, so you can enable and disable your shield systems. The ship always starts off with its shields down. To enable them, you simply click, shields go up. The status indicator changes as well to show that you've got your shields raised, and then to lower them, you click again. Below is your beam frequency configuration. So you can see currently it's in A, but you can go all the way through to E. The science officer will give you the information of what beam frequency to set, and then that will be the most efficient for taking down enemy shields. And then there's a new toggle underneath that says auto manual. So at the moment it's set to auto. That shows that it's highlighted. If I click that, it opens a manual configuration of beams. You can increase and decrease the fire rate. You can increase and decrease the aperture, which is how focused the beam is. And then you can select a target priority. The target priority comes from a science scan. When they've scanned and they've identified different places that you can hit, there'll be the list here that shows a few different systems that you can focus your weapons on. At the moment, the target priority is the hull, because anything that you'd be targeting wouldn't have any additional scan information. With fire rate and aperture, if you have a wider aperture, so a bigger number, it's spread over a bigger area. That means that it'll be spread over the shields more, so the shields will go down a little bit faster. And narrow aperture, it's spread over a smaller area, so the idea is that you can pinpoint particular targets that you're firing at. The fire rate obviously increases how fast you're firing, but the faster you fire, the weaker those shots are, because there's less energy to recharge. Slower fire rate means that you get a slightly heavier hit on your target. In the middle of the screen is the main 2D view again. This is just like on the helm screen, so if you've seen and watched that guide, you'll know the basic controls. I can zoom in and out using my scroll wheel. I can click and drag as well. And then I've got the three icons at the bottom, which will allow me to center the display and change the zoom level at the same time, and it just recenters it on the ship. Again, if you click and drag and your ship then maneuvers, it won't be locked to your ship anymore, so you have to recenter it and it brings you right back in. Bottom left, you have your torpedo selection and loading. So to select your torpedo, you've got the select type here. It'll open the list of different torpedoes that you can select, and you just simply click to select it. And then you can load your torpedo by clicking on the load button. The bar at the bottom shows how quickly it's loading and how far it has left to load. And then once it's ready, you've got the fire button to be able to fire the ordnance. If you look in the top right as well on the status panel, you'll see a T after homing, saying that there's one homing torpedo in the tubes. If I load a second one, you'll now see two T's next to where it says homing in the status panel. It shows that there's two homing torpedoes in the tubes. So that's an indicator for you, and it's also an indicator for anybody else who can see this status screen. So that's the main weapons console. The final bit is your targeting. So to target an enemy ship, you can just select it. It'll put a target on that, and then when you're within your beam range, indicated by the green arcs around your ship, you'll fire. We're going to cycle subconsoles now by clicking on the weapons systems button at the bottom. If I click on that, this opens up weapon system. In the top left, you've got targeting control specifically. You can see that the safety is highlighted on. That means that you cannot target an allied ship. So any ship that is on your side cannot be accidentally targeted. If you try and click on them, it will not allow you to lock a target. If you need to target an allied ship for any reason, you can click the safety. It will take that off, and then you'll be able to target an allied ship. Underneath that is auto targeting. If you have auto targeting on, the ships weapon systems will just automatically lock on to the nearest enemy within a certain range. Without that on, then the ship won't lock on unless you manually select that. Auto targeting will not load and fire homing torpedoes or nuclear torpedoes or any other ordnance like that. It'll only lock on with your beam system. Below is your ordnance management. It's split into two sections, your magazine and your cargo bay. The magazine is what you actually have access to be able to load straight into your tubes. If I just go back to the weapons screen briefly, you can see I've got 10 homings available, 3 nukes available, 6 EMPs available, and 6 mines available. In the weapon systems, 2 of those homing torpedoes are in the tube. So you can see my homing at the top says there are only 8 out of 10 homing torpedoes. The 10 at the end is the magazine size. The 8 is how many extra I have spare in there. I can add more torpedoes from the cargo bay, or I can remove torpedoes and put them into the cargo bay, and then other officers can do things with them. For example, a shuttle pilot can load them and take them to another ship or station, or the operations officer can recycle the torpedoes into different components, take them apart and recombine them in different ways. Just to move them across, it's a simple click. So the nuclear torpedo, for example, I've got 3 in the magazine of a maximum of 3. If I click those 3 times, it'll remove them. So now I've got 5 nuclear torpedoes in my cargo bay. And to reload the magazine, so if I've run out of nuclear torpedoes but I have them in my cargo bay, I just simply click across. Once it's full, I can't add any more. And once it's empty, I can't remove any more. The same goes with the homing torpedoes. Because I've got 2 in the tubes and 8 in the magazine, I can't actually load any more into the magazine because the 2 in the tubes need to go somewhere if they're unloaded. But I can unload all the way down to having no homing torpedoes and then reload all the way up to having my maximum of 8 there with the tubes. The final console in the tactical consoles is the navigation. If I click on that, this is just a basic console. There's not a lot of functions on this other than being able to drop different markers. Navigation just gives you the 2D view, so you can zoom right out and you can scroll around that 2D view to find things that are close by and have a look at your map. There's also on the left side a marker and then a grey box. If you want to place a navigation marker for the helm officer, you can click on the marker, it will highlight it, and then you can click anywhere on the map and it'll create different navigation markers for you. You can have as many of these as you want, there's no limit to them. And you'll also see on the left the list of navigation markers is populating. If you delete a few and then add some more, it just carries on the sequence of numbers. To get rid of a navigation marker, you go to this list, make sure your marker's switched off, and then just click on that marker, and it will remove it from the map and delete it from the list. You can see I can take out as many markers as I want, and then if I add new ones, it just carries on counting from the point that you got to. So that's all the basics of the weapons console. I hope it was interesting, I hope it was informative, and keep an eye out for the next guide where I'll look at the engineering console.